Welcome to the 100X Gem Show. I'm rocking with my back-to-back world champs USA jersey. We just wrapped up the world's greatest holiday this week. That is America's 4th of July. If you're not in America, it is unfortunate being you. We are doing another episode of the 100X Gem Show. Cesar and I have not done this in quite a few months. This show, if you've not been present for one before, is really, really simple. We sit down and look at tokens and ask, can this token 100x? We're not saying, is this a terrible project or a life-changing revolutionary project? It's just, we're looking at a token because we like to buy things and we want our things that we buy to go 100x in value. This is not a purely degen show. We're not just saying that something's going to blow up tomorrow. We are actually thinking about the long-term success of these tokens. Sometimes when we predict a 100x, it might be over a 5-year span or something like that. So sit down, enjoy it with us. We're looking at 3 tokens today. The first token, and I should say, none of this is sponsored. We've been paid a big old $0. None of these 3 projects know that we're talking about their tokens today, though we have had 2 of them on our podcast before. Before we dig into everything this episode has to offer, we want to highlight the awesome partners who sponsor this podcast and make it possible for us to work full-time on 100x. They're legends, and we appreciate them for supporting us. Let's talk about Reactor, a proof-of-work blockchain that introduces a brand new economic model, deep-in mining software, a gaming distribution platform, the RKR token, and their game, Minions of Steel, that's proving their thesis by seamlessly integrating proof-of-work token mining with gaming. Through allowing players to mine with their own GPU while playing, not only do they essentially make gaming free, they make software free, and they present an AI-proof income for everyone. If you want to take a glimpse into the future and get there early, explore Reactor's ecosystem at the link below. Everybody is chasing the sweet nectar of played airdrop. Could the beacon potentially be the most fun iteration of the meta thus far? The Beacon is a collision of 3 game genres at once. Think dungeon crawler like Hades, world builder like Animal Crossing, and social MMO like RuneScape. Right now, you can complete quests to unlock the token airdrop and whitelist through our New Frontiers quest link in this episode's description. Follow the Beacon on Twitter for deets on the rite of passagement and the game's global launch. And let us know in the comments how many of the bosses you can actually beat. One of these tokens, the first one we're looking at, is WAGMI Games. The WAGMI Games token is literally exactly that. The ticker is just WAGMI Games. The market cap is currently sitting at $13.3 million. That's almost fully diluted. It looks like it's about 90% fully diluted. 24-hour trading volume is 1.6 million. The token is down since April. It had some really big spikes before that, but it's down since April of this year. Yeah, down since March of this year. Down 39.2% over the year. And that's part of the reason we're looking at it. This token is on Ethereum. Cesar, talk to me about WAGMI's token.
Yeah, I mean, for anyone that doesn't know, WAGMI Games is a tower defense, or at least the first game that they have right now in their world is a tower defense. Think of Clash Royale or other games sort of like that. You pretty much have one side, the other side, you guys battle it out, try to knock out the other person's tower. The cool thing and the reason why we're talking about WAGMI Games is because they have a lot of changes going up. If you look at their Twitter, they're actually overhauling the entire game. The way that the game currently looks, right now you can only really play it on BlueStacks or on Android, and you have to get access through it from Scott himself. So right now it's like a very convoluted way to get actually access to the game.
Super
but that's all going to change. Yeah, but that's all going to be changing next month. And that's when they're really teasing their full global launch for sometime in August, September, in the next couple months. But when that changes, it's going to be a completely different game. I mean, if you look at the animations, and we'll probably post something here alongside that, it's going to be completely different, completely better looking. A lot of the bugs that they have in the current game, that's all going to be changed. And on top of that, they've also been teasing some of the comics that they're going to be coming out with. I saw a picture with Scott and someone else at a comic store reading the comics themselves. Also, they have an anime coming along. And so it's like they have a lot of stuff cooking. And because the market's down and everyone is super depressed, right now this game is not getting a lot of attention because it is on ETH. But with a lot of changes and the way that their game is on IMX, there's a lot of things that are going to be changing in the next couple months, which gives this token a lot of speculative value in the sense of like, hey, with all these things changing, everything becoming simpler to use and more cohesive in their ecosystem, can that give it a bull case?
Yeah, two things. The first is I know we've introduced them as a game. They're definitely larger than a game. One thing Scott said to me specifically when we had him on the podcast was that he sees WAGMI essentially gaining a possible opportunity to become a giant, fantastical sci-fi brand in the likes of Star Wars, Star Trek, all of these awesome brands that we grew up with. He thinks maybe they could become that. I know they introduced themselves as Web3's first universe encompassing multiple games, anime, comics, cosplay, collectibles, and more. I have one of their NFTs and I do hold some tokens. So maybe I'm a little bit biased. So take that as you will. Their comics look rad. If you looked at their comics and their anime, they've got some really high tier people coming in to build those for them. Teams that have worked with Marvel, teams that have worked with big name brands way larger than anyone inside of crypto or Web3 right now. Their game is fun enough, even in its like early beta, to keep me checking in and playing it a little bit every single day. I pretty much play it every day. And I think most of the people on 100X's gameplay side, we do the same. You mentioned a great point, Cesar. And this is really where I want to take it, is that you mentioned the markets are down. Everyone's a little bit scared, especially in Web3 gaming. Everyone's real scared. Big crypto does not really recognize Web3 gaming's existence as anything legitimate. I think we're still so early if you're in this space. So I'm pretty bullish on most things in the Web3 gaming space just because of that. But I do pay a lot of attention to where people are not looking. If something is difficult to access, if something is early, if something is like you've kind of got to imagine what it's going to become, that's the time that I prefer to personally buy things. That's why I'm holding WAGMI's tokens. Right now, I mentioned their token is down almost 40% over the year. And that you're like, oh my gosh, there's a token. Should I catch a falling knife? If I'm buying for any semblance of long term, so I'm not talking about day trading. I'm talking about like, hey, in a year or 2 years, could this WAGMI Games idea succeed? And if they do, could their token succeed? To me, this is the time period that I would want to be buying it. You mentioned, Cesar, that they're about to release another version of the game. I know that their token is on Ethereum, but their NFTs are on Immutable. And also this article on their Medium from March of this year talks about those assets also being on Base. It makes me wonder if there's like maybe going to be, as the game comes into its next iteration, if there's going to be some evolution in the way that we interact with the assets. And if there's any evolution at all, that's a huge positive for it, right? Everything that would make these things easier to access would be a win. I think I'm bullish on the team. I really enjoyed the conversation that we had with Scott. I am bullish on the vision. I am bullish on the quality of their comics. I am bullish on the game as a mobile game. I'm bullish on all of it. Like, I think they've really locked in a fantastic idea. And I also really respect that they're not afraid to be crypto. Like the name WAGMI itself, it's no surprise and no secret that us being called 100X, that we've gotten, funny looks sometimes from people wanting to take the space really seriously. We love crypto, man. And I will live or die on that hill. And I really admire that about them. Do I think their token can 100X? That would be 1.3 billion is the question I'm asking. Do I think that a game's token could hit $1 billion in a bull market? Yes, I do. Do I think that a game's token that wasn't just tied to a game, but was tied to animes and comics and cosplay and these collectible statues and a large sci-fi universe could hit that kind of market cap in a bull market? Yes, I do. I don't see very many red flags. Is there like a case you see, Cesar, for like reasons why or things maybe WAGMI would need to overcome before? So I'm not just full bull case.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's some of the stuff that we're looking at right now. Everything seems to be all over the place. I mean, we mentioned Ethereum, we mentioned Immutable, we mentioned Base. Right now, a lot of their ecosystem is fragmented in a lot of different places just because of where they're trying to get started, where they're trying to build, and where they're going to be going with their global launch. Right now, because everything was in closed beta and then they had the preseason, everything, there was still a lot of questions going on, which is why they had the stuff on Immutable, why they launched their token on Ethereum. But now that they're having more clarity in terms of the where they want to be cemented and where they want to call home, I think that's the only thing that is holding them back right now, and why a lot of people maybe aren't even paying attention to WAGMI games, because they think, well, they're all over the place, so how can we trust that something like that's all over the place is actually going to succeed in the future? But I think that's what they're focusing on right now in this time, really trying to fix those things. So like, hey, how can we make sure that the onboarding process is as simple as possible? Which is something that I got to give them respect for. The fact that they didn't give a closed beta access to just like anyone, like they didn't try to rush their launches. Anyone can get access to the beta if they want,
But you
but
got to
they have
hit
to
up the
know.
man himself.
Yeah, and you got to know it's going to be a convoluted process, but they know that, and they are aware of like, hey, these are the issues that we have that need to be fixed ahead of global launch, which is why it makes me feel like, hey, right now when everything is super complicated and everything is all over the place, and
That's when I want to
the
buy.
price is down 40%, that's when like you're like, okay, if they fix those issues and they fix them correctly, where like now onboarding is super easy, making payments with the token is as easy, if not easier, than with a credit card, that's when things really start to change. And that's where I think like, hey, if it doesn't get fixed, I don't see this token 100xing. But if they do fix it and they're able to make everything super cohesive, that's the bullish case.
Yeah, and I also, if you just look at their tokenomics on their white paper, 85% just about of the supply is circulating among existing holders. I guess we would be there. 5% is reserved for game economy, things like tournaments and play to earn. 5% is held in a treasury backup reserve. 4% is used for tier 1 centralized exchanges. Just under 2% is reserved for future advisory roles. There's no like big vesting or diluting or unlocking event that is going to cause the token to like drop in significance at this point. Most of it's out there, and the stuff that's not out there is planned very specific use cases. I think when I look at the token itself, yeah, man, it's hard to not feel bullish. I will say two things. If I was not in crypto and you asked me like, hey, could a single game be worth $1 billion? That sounds kind of crazy under most circumstances. There's very few games in the regular gaming world that are worth $1 billion. If you look at the number of games on Steam or something, that sounds wild. But we exist in crypto where everything is wild speculation and coins of frogs are worth billions of dollars. It's insanity. There is a lot of speculation at play. There's a lot of like social play happening. And so I think we will see multiple games in the multi-billion-dollar market cap range in the peak of this bull market. And so I think if you're betting on games, you have to take it with a grain of salt and recognize like this is all speculation. I could totally be wrong. You could totally be wrong. You could totally be wrong, whoever's listening. But this is one that I'm willing to take a bet on, and I have personally taken a bet on. I think I could see WAGMI Games hitting $1 billion market cap.
Yeah, and just for anyone listening, if you want to know what the token is used for, it's clearly listed on their website. You have in-game purchases, so you're able to buy their in-game currency, Adalium, with the WAGMI Games token. They have chart buybacks, so as they go ahead and have revenue done by the company itself, they're going to use some of that revenue to buy back the token to then later on use in things like tournaments and things like that, activations for the community. They're also going to have wagering battles, so then soon you'll be able to actually 1v1 your homies, and instead of just doing it for free, actually put some skin in the game and put some money on the table to see who really can come out on top in those 1v1s. Like I mentioned, there's going to be exclusive tournaments, the NFT marketplace purchases, so anything that you buy, whenever you buy their NFTs, you can use other tokens, or you can use the actual WAGMI Games coin to make those purchases for those cards and those NFTs. And then on-chain governance. There's not a lot of clarity right now in terms of what kind of governance or how important that will be, but that is something that's coming down the pipeline.
Thumbs up, thumbs down. Could WAGMI tokens in your WAGMI Games token, in your opinion, 100x?
I think so. I think because they are working on these solutions to fix the problems that we mentioned already, and if they are able to do it successfully, then I really do think so. But if after these next 2 months, if with the solutions that they present, if those things aren't fixed or they don't actually look to be fixed, then I wouldn't be as so bullish to say that it could 100x.
So currently, yes, they get a rah-rah from my eagle. Next token we're looking at today. This is another one that we have had on our podcast fairly recently. I like them. I've had a sticker of them. If you've noticed ever on my water bottle for a long time, we have never been sponsored by them. So they just sent me a sticker pack a long time ago. MetalCore, the MCG token. MetalCore is a territorial warfare PvPvE shooter, first person, third person shooter, big vehicles, big mechs, sometimes no mechs. You're just running around with your gun, feels like Halo. So many games in Web3 are like years behind in development. They're probably a little bit further ahead than a lot of the games in this space right now. And so you can actually mess around with it. You can actually play it. MetalCore is a shooter. The MCG token is currently sitting at a $4.3 million market cap. And it just very recently launched. Like how recently was that, Cesar? Like less than a week ago?
Yeah, I think last week is when they launched.
Fill me in on part of the reason we wanted to have this conversation. Just like with WAGMI, hey, WAGMI's down 30 whatever percent. That means, in my opinion, that's when I want to pay attention. I want to look at things and buy things and notice things when everyone's eyes are looked away. I don't want to wait until they're all paying attention. What's the drama happening with MetalCore?
Yeah. One thing that seems to be happening a lot in this space, especially around TGEs, is that when the airdrops are going to be unlocked and available to be claimed on launch day, on TGE day, there always seems to be some issue with claims. And when players who have been playing the game for months and have been putting some time, checking in daily, ensuring that they do their missions, participating in the events, aren't able to claim those tokens on day one, and just see everyone else who was able to claim, or the VC, the investors who got in on a pre-sale and things like that, able to sell right away on launch, it doesn't feel good. And a lot of people had that frustration that they weren't able to claim. The airdrops weren't, the website wasn't working. People only got partial claims when they actually were supposed to get a lot more. So there was a lot of things going on in terms of the airdrop side on TGE day that caused a lot of frustration for people who had been playing the game for a while. And that's what caused the game, or the token, to launch at like around 2 cents and now sitting at just over half a penny. So it did take a hit, but I think that's why we're talking about it here, is because it's like, hey, when things take a hit, when things don't start off right, and they take a massive price dump from the get-go, it didn't even get a chance to go up yet, it didn't get a chance to get started, that's when it's like, okay, put aside the mistakes that happened with the TGE launch date. Can this game now go from here and get back to its launch price and then push out above that? Because at the end of the day, when we're talking about a game that's out of play to airdrop season, that's out of, like, now they're in closed beta 3, but closed beta 3 has been months and months of progress. So they're already starting to work their in-game economy and actually having that function the way that they intended it to. We're no longer talking about, what's going to happen in the future. We're actually here. And a game that's actually here to only be priced at $4.3 million, that's where it tells you, like, hey, I understand there's a lot of frustration around the game and maybe people are feeling bearish, but let's take out that outside of the consideration and see, like, can this game actually do something now that they're fully live? And that's the question we're asking here today.
My thought really simply is, if you remove the emotion from it, right? It's easy to be emotional as gamers in crypto. It's easy to be emotional as buyers in crypto. I have made some sweet bags and I have lost like 6 figures in a single trade. I know what it's like to feel emotional when something doesn't go your way. But if you remove the emotion from it, I want to buy the fear and I want to buy the hate. Again, because that's when people are discounting something that could end up being valuable someday. When this token, I don't know the exact launch price of the token, but on June 28th, when it popped up on CoinGecko for the first second, it was at 2 cents. Currently, it's sitting just under half a cent. It has fallen in a week's time, essentially 2 weeks' time. 2 weeks' time, it has fallen below launch price. And that means it's sitting at a $4 million market cap. We just asked the question, could a sci-fi universe with a mobile game already as their proof of concept potentially hit $1 billion market cap? With MetalCore, we're asking, could a shooter that is striving to be a AAA first and third person expansive shooter universe, essentially, like, it's not like it's just one mode, become a $400 million market cap? I think that's a different question for 2 reasons. One is that, it's not like a giant universe that's including comics and anime and TV shows and all kinds of things. Like, they're focused on just making a baller game. They want to spearhead AAA shooters in Web3 gaming. And 2, not only is it just one product, but also I think people are a lot more critical of anyone that's trying to be AAA. A mobile game, I think, receives a little more grace than someone that is like, oh, we're a AAA shooter. I think you see that with Off the Grid. You see that with Shrapnel. You see that with MetalCore. If you want to claim that like you're straight up AAA, people are going to put you a little bit more under the microscope. So I think their race to hit 100x will probably be a little more difficult. But the question remains, could I see this shooter, if they can polish everything and get everything correctly, hitting a $400 million market cap? That's what we're asking. I think the tokenomics real quick. Here's what MCG is used for. MCG, here's their notes on it that they put out themselves. Let's dive into what the arrival of MCG means. First playable AAA Web3 game at token launch. What they mean by that is like, hey, we're not just doing like quick events. Token is live. We're fully playable. Their competitors would be guys like Shrapnel, who are open for periods of time. I don't think you can just jump in and play the whole time like you can with MetalCore right now. Token utility from day one. Veteran game development team, mechs and vehicles designed by artists from Star Wars. Convert them into NFTs. Best blockchain game winner of 2024. That was a Games GG award. Essentially, can this shooter explode and blow up? Again, like my take is really simple. I think if people are hating on something, I want to pay attention to it as an investor. And I saw a lot of people upset in the MetalCore Discord over like, it's a valid concern. Hey, we want the tokens that we earned, but they're getting them. It looks like I was looking at it today. I was looking at the announcements. It looks like those claims are going through. The team is processing it. And most likely there is a narrative that says like in 6 months from now, nobody will even remember that happened if they can get the game to the point that they want to get it at. And people are just going to love playing the game. I think the barony system has a lot of utility for the token. I think those are essentially like giant tribal warfare systems that sound really, really rad. Do I think this token can 100x? That's the thought. I think MetalCore is drastically undervalued at $4.3 million. I don't know that I am like as confident right now to put a stamp of like, yep, that's going to 100x as I was with WAGMI, but I really think it's undervalued. Like I would not be shocked in a couple months if this is a $20 million market cap a couple months from now. And usually when I'm saying like, could something hit $500 million? I'm not talking in a month. I'm not talking in 3 months. I'm not talking in 6 months. I'm talking in a year, 2 years, 3 years. That's more long-term for me. But I do think this is drastically undervalued. I'm a little torn on like, is a single shooter going to like level out at $500 million? What are your thoughts, Cesar?
Yeah, I think, although I do want to also agree that, hey, maybe that mistake that happened with the airdrop will, over the long term, not hurt them as much. I do have to say that that's the one thing that makes me feel like, hey, maybe that's what's going to hold them back from reaching that 100x potential or even coming out of this, is because who they actually hurt by those mistakes. It wasn't some new investor. It wasn't someone who just trying out for the first time. It was the people that actually have been grinding the game for the last 2 closed betas and even before then, like their alpha test. The people who have been there for a long time, they're the ones that actually got burned by a lot of this. I know someone in one of the chats that I'm in on Twitter, he had at one point, like, his airdrop was supposed to be worth 20,000, and by the time he was actually able to claim, it was only worth $1,800. Losing $18,000 for like a lot of time that you put in, really putting time and dedication into a game, does not feel good, and it's not okay in the sense of like, hey, now you really hurt one of like your really OG players that really believed in you and had been playing your game for a long time. So in that sense, that's what makes me feel like, hey, that can really hurt them along the term, because the people that you hurt are the people who are supporting you in the first place and being your number one supporters and putting your name out there for like in good graces for everyone else in the game.
So for their bullish narrative, they essentially have to win back the community that feels harmed by them. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the hill that they have to overcome in order for their like real success to come in, because they're the ones that the gamers that have been there for a long time. They're the ones that are going to probably, the word of mouth, getting new players in, really show them the ropes. They're the ones that know the mechanics better than anyone else. So that's really what it's going to take for them, earn that trust back. It doesn't always have to be monetary, but show them like, hey, we realized we messed up. let's fix it. Let's figure out ways to, make you whole, give you some incentive later on in the future. But if they're able to do that and they're able to get the trust back of their community to show them like, hey, it wasn't something that we did intentionally. We're here for the long term. They have a lot of things in terms of that PvPvE area, ensuring that there's baronies, premium baronies, and ensuring that the best players and the people who actually are committed to the game will be rewarded for the long term. So for anyone listening, if you got burned by this play to airdrop campaign in the TGE, just know that based on the conversation that we have with their team and everything that we've been seeing on their announcements, they have a lot more cooking. They have a lot more making. And they're one of the only games that I know that have a full game economy out and working right now. So if their plans and the way that their economy is meant to work actually succeed, the tokens that you have may go back to those same prices, unless you sold. Then that's a whole different thing already. But that's what makes me think like, hey, if they're able to get back that trust from the community, this token can potentially go back up.
Yeah, it's a yes, should they be able to overcome the hurdles that are set before them. And I think I am like pretty confident that this team is capable of that. I think having watched them built for years, having talked to them myself, like I feel like this team is going to achieve those things. So for me, the like, can the token 100x is less about like, oh, are they capable of making it happen? And more of, I just am not personally fully decided on where like single game tokens are going to settle. If they had a whole universe, for example, they had multiple games tied to one token, then maybe I'd be a little like higher up on that. But I don't know. It's hard for me to say that like, oh, I can definitively wager that a single game is going to be worth $500 million. Do I think in the crypto world that this is way undervalued at 4 million? Yes, I do. I could very easily see a 10x from here. I could pretty easily see a 20x from here. But I think I genuinely don't know. And it has nothing to do with MetalCore at that point. It's just more like, we haven't really seen where single game tokens are going to settle in the grand scheme of things. I think I look at their competitors. Who is their competitors right now? We're talking AAA shooters in Web3. To me, the greatest competitor that has a token out right now would be Shrapnel. Their market cap is 33 million. Their Shrapnel's fully diluted valuation is like 160 million. Even I personally think that's low. I think Shrapnel's doing a phenomenal job. I think that number is going to rise, but we're not talking about them on the show. But specifically, like, do I think MetalCore could reach that price? Yeah, I do. But do I think MetalCore will reach 5 times Shrapnel's price? That's where I'm like, I don't know. Actually, that would be 5 times Shrapnel's fully diluted valuation. That's not even 5 times their actual price. It's significantly more than that. So I don't know. I think MetalCore is undervalued, but I am not decided on where I think the tokens of single game economies will settle. But so I guess that's a raw for MetalCore too. Next token is not gaming related. I know we're very bullish on the gaming space. This token is a meme coin. We love meme coins around here. They are the social proof of the blockchain. And this is really the first meme coin that looks like it's getting a lot of like social media attention on Polygon. A ton of you guys are super bearish Polygon. I'm not a big Polygon holder. I know people that are big Polygon holders, but I am really bullish on Polygon. I don't think that they deserve to be slot number 24. I think Polygon will settle as a top 10 token, potentially higher. The ag layer is ridiculous. If they succeed at that, they could potentially become one of crypto's largest interoperability success stories for solving some of the biggest problems crypto itself is facing. We'll see. So the idea that Polygon, should they become successful, does not have a meme coin economy at all is kind of interesting. Most chains have some meme coins popping off. Polygon has essentially none. And so this one is getting my attention. It is GOON, GOON, GOON. This is a quote from Zola. He is a friend of the 100x podcast. He's one of the guys that put me onto this token. And he quotes my brother in this, who is also one of the other guys that has put me onto this token. It says, GOON, the number one meme on Polygon, has shown great strength in a down market for alts. This tweet was today at the time of recording, July 11th. At $4.5 million market cap, no dev, so no possible rug, 11% of supply to be burnt at 1 billion market cap, community holders and helpers only. influencers coming on board, including Jesse Eckel and your friend Andy. Are you next? It's a meme coin, Cesar. What do you think?
There's not much to think. I think we did a lot of the thinking in the first two. This one is more like, hey, there's not a lot of meme coins, if any, in Polygon. If Polygon succeeds as a chain, if they're able to make that top 10, something in the Polygon's meme ecosystem has to pop. Can GOON be the one? I think it's very interesting. It's all about timing. It's all about following memes, following trends, following the passion. I don't know if Polygon has that passion right now. I don't think it has that same movement as some of the other things like AVAX or Ethereum or Base. But it is very interesting to see something happening with Polygon. The thing is that, it could be GOON, or whenever Polygon pumps up something that launches that when the Polygon is pumping, if another meme coin launches at that specific moment, who's to say that that new coin won't pump harder than GOON? So with meme coins, it's very, very hard to predict whether this one's going to be the one that pops up and be the number one trading meme coin for this specific chain. But it's definitely a contender and definitely has some solid backing by people that we respect in this podcast.
Yeah, I have, to be clear, at the time of recording, I am a holder of WAGMI Games. I am not yet a holder of MCG. I was waiting for that bottom price to kind of settle before I buy a bag. And I am not currently a holder of GOON. I was told about GOON by Zola and by my brother, who is one of the accidental whales, he called himself, over there. I was told about GOON, and I could have had a something X, I don't know, like a 5X or a 10X or something, but not as big as some of these guys have had so far. There's some crazy numbers that have happened. Shout out to them. I also dig that their tagline is 1 billion or death. They've got like this lockup fund where the whales, that includes some of my family, have essentially locked their funds to just a portion of their funds to just be burned when it hits $1 billion. They can't sell them till then. They can't spend them till then. They're all locked up. Fascinating concept. They're like, let's ride or die. Let's build a big meme coin. Polygon needs it. I think you made a great point, though, that I think Polygon does need it. But in order for Polygon to succeed with a meme coin, they've got to have a meme community. And I honestly don't know. I don't know how big that community is. I think I remember when I don't think Smokey's the community manager right now, but when he was, I think he does a great job at bringing that type of community together, even though he was more NFT focused. But if you look at where are meme coins succeeding, dude, they're dominating where there's just the most passionate grassroots praisers of that chain. Meme coins dominate in places that people are ride or die that chain. The number of people that are ride or die Polygon is significantly less than the number of people that are ride or die Solana, for instance. So yeah, I think maybe this could be the thing that community needs. Or maybe it is it's the chicken and the egg scenario, right? Which comes first? Is it the great meme or is it the great community? Can one produce the other? We don't know. I think at $4 million and with the story they've got telling, I think it's probably a reasonable bet. We see meme coins all the time hit $400 million. That's what this would have to hit. But I don't think we've ever seen a meme coin on Polygon hit that number. So it would be the biggest meme coin on Polygon to date. That's an uphill battle. I think I respect that they are so bullish on making it happen. And I didn't even mention they're not just memeing. GOON is a meme. I definitely thought it was the gooning token for a while. That's a whole different meme. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to throw my bags behind gooning. I don't spend a lot of time gooning. You can Google, or if you prefer to live a holy life, not Google what gooning is beforehand. But I didn't realize GOON is just like a hooligan, a hoodlum, a gangster. The boondocks. I don't know what it is. It's fun. But outside of the meme, they're focused really hard on community growth, helping grow Polygon and bring attention to the ag layer that we referenced earlier. They're really all about the idea that hey, if people are going to give the ag layer the attention it deserves, then first we need a social proof happening on Polygon. The reality is money goes where the people are, and then people go where the money are. It's a chicken and egg scenario. Everyone has been fading Polygon for the last 2 years, I think undeservedly, but you need the community there. So if they can pull together that grassroots effort of we will build Polygon's community, and not just Goon's community, then I could see them succeeding. But it is an uphill battle when you're trying to be like the meme coin of an entire chain. I'm going to buy Goon after this call. I think it's worth buying some. But every meme coin to me is going to be a much higher risk bag than buying something like one of these games that has like a huge, large studio creating actual products. Meme coins are memes and should be treated as such. It's a lot more of a gamble. It's still awesome. I think they belong in crypto. I think it's part of the social dynamic that is happening inside of Web3, and it's rad. So do I think Goon could 100x? I think there is a roadmap that causes it to 100x, but I think it's a harder road to hit the $500 million mark. And their logo or their standpoint is 1 billion or deaths. So can they more than 100x? Can they 200x? That's an even bigger question. I don't know. Maybe we need somebody from Goon's community to convince us that they're going bigger than they are.
Yeah. And I think, my final thought is just like, hey, if they do hit 1 billion, that's more than 100x. If they like sort of quit on the way there, 100x is not even halfway there. So, I mean, if they really do go for the
stars and maybe, or what is the line? Shoot for the moon and you land in the stars. It's like I saw it on Pinterest once.
Something like that. If they shoot for the stars and land somewhere.
Meme. I think it's one of the better meme coins. It's trendable. It's got a good name. It's got a good like ethos. It's got a good little guy on their photos, the purple dude. Yeah, man, it could work. It's higher risk. It's hard to predict a meme coin 100x. But we did say, actually, do you remember, Cesar, a long time ago, Pepe was at less than 100 million. What was Pepe at? It was like
a 32 million. I remember when we covered it.
We talked about it on the show and said, yeah, this could 100x, and it went over 1 billion. So you know what? Goon, be our next Pepe, baby. We believe in you. All right, this is the 100x Gem Show. We've talked about 3 tokens. Maybe you love our takes. Maybe you hate them. I want to know why. We fairly simply liked all 3 tokens. I think there's a future path that they could succeed on. And like anything in crypto, there is a future path that they could fail on. Give us your reasons as to why they will win or succeed. Happy birthday, America. We'll see you next time.